Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Bree Noble, and I am excited to be here with I think I can call her a friend because we've known each other for at least 10 years. While we were just saying we have never met in person, she has worked with me for over 10 years in the Female Musician Academy. And I believe I was playing her music even before that on Women of Substance. She's very prolific. She's made several albums, and she'll definitely tell you about that. And I just wanted to bring her on because she's done so much in the span of the last 10 years that we've worked together. It just amazed me, even like when I connected with her recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you've done all of that in 10 years. And she's got something really cool that she's working on now. So I want you to her to tell you about that and just inspire you as artists, those of you who are artists that are watching, of what you can accomplish as an independent artist not like a pop mainstream artist. Like she is a spiritually focused artist. She's does so many really cool, interesting things with her music. So I'll let her tell you about that. Alicia, why don't you give a little background on how you started in music and like what kind of led you to the path that you've been on lately with music?
Thank you so much, Bree. It's so wonderful to be with you. It's amazing to think that you started the Academy 10 years ago. It's kind of blows my mind.
I know I feel so old.
I know. I am here in New England. I grew up at a place called Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I'm here in my music room where I teach K through 8 music. The last 5 years, I've been teaching K through 8 music full time while still doing my artistry, which has expanded my capacity, let me tell you.
Mm.
I started writing songs when I was 8. I grew up playing violin. I got my mom to get me an electric guitar when I was 10. And I learned Pat Benatar songs and many other songs. And songwriting was always a way for me to express parts of me that I think I had a hard time expressing in the regular world. I was just like a jock and I was smart, but the songwriting was kind of this darker, more contemplative place, this place where I could put kind of deep stuff. And that led to me writing songs, being a folk singer. I came out as a lesbian when I was 19. I got very involved in feminism, but I was also very connected at that time to a Christian path. I grew up Catholic. So I ended up writing a whole musical about being a lesbian minister.
Oh, I've
Tried
never
to
knew
become
this
a
about
priest. I
you.
mean, I know you didn't know this about me. I'm giving you the whole spiel.
Cool.
But I'm in the studio right now, almost finishing my 6th studio album, and I'm in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign. Those of you that maybe don't know what Kickstarters are, I've done about 4, and 3 of them were fully successful. So 10 years ago, when I met Bree, I was just doing my first Kickstarter for my record, Wise Innocence. And one of those tracks, which was actually a mantra, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, has been streamed 1 million times, which is pretty incredible because it got on a South American Spotify playlist. I mean, you just never know how your music's going to get out there. So that journey from always being spiritual and music always being a part of that spiritual expression, that evolved out kind of beyond Christianity or any one organized religion. And then I practiced yoga and I studied Buddhism and Hinduism, and now I chant for yoga. And recently did finally a sound healing training. So everything's coming together now where I'm using frequencies and consciousness and songwriting skills. And it's all coming together in this project called Frequencies of Love, which is 9 songs, 9 mantras, and I'm finally writing my first book.
Yes, that's what got me when you said that. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I mean,
I know.
I've seen so much synergy with artists either writing, helpful books or even like memoirs. And this one obviously is going to go along with the music, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's actually going to have poetry. This is like really scary, but exciting for me. So, throughout this project, there's this energy of 9. So, there's 9 songs, 9 mantras. And then in the book, there's going to be 9 poems 9 pieces of kind of essay, prose, and then 9 contemplations or meditations. So the book is really a journey, sharing my journey, but it's an invitation for other people, all people, but I think particular people that are connected to music to go on their own journey because the book is called Sacred Dissonance. And
Mm.
the idea is that as a musician, those musicians out there, you know, you cannot have harmony without dissonance. So we can't have sound without silence. So it's really about I've struggled a lot in my life. I've moved through a lot of loss, a lot of suffering, being an artist, thinking I'm going to make it, whatever that means, not make it. And I keep coming back to what matters: creative expression, connection, community, knowing your values and living them. And that is what keeps me well and gives me a reason to invite other people into what I'm doing.
I love that. As you know, that's all of what I'm about in the academy and everything that I do. That's why I bring women together. I often have a spiritual element as well. So, we're very well aligned. But I remember talking to you early on. And in fact, I think I interviewed you a long time ago for the Female Entrepreneur Musician podcast. And we
Yeah.
talked about how you started on that very traditional like path of I'm going to be a pop singer or a folk singer and I'm going to do
Hmm.
it in
Hmm.
the traditional way. And how did that go and how did you kind of find your path that you have now?
I know it's so funny. I mean, I will be honest and say I always keep there's still a part of me that keeps trying to fit in. I'm always trying to fit in. And I'm finally surrendering to like we're supposed to be ourselves. And through your work, through the Feminine Academy, Musician Academy, and then some other work I've done on transformational life coaching, I've learned a lot about creating your own context. Like your class on house concerts, or like recently I took Tiama's class on like the keynote concerts. It's like you create your own context for the work that you're doing, and you trust you have value and you go where you're resonating with people rather than trying to fit into some path. And I really followed the path of kind of the folk singer songwriter. But that was never kind of expansive enough for me. So I have sang at yoga studios. I've done yoga festivals. I'm going to be at the Maine Yoga Festival this summer in Portland, Maine. And so I integrate songwriting and meditation and mantras. And it's just, I don't feel like I need to put myself in a box anymore or even put my audience in a box. I mean, you do have to be clear about who you are, but it's sort of like trusting the vibration, the literal vibration and frequency that you are, and that those that are attracted to it, are coming to you.
Yeah, and I always talk about connection points, and I think there's kind of two sides of that. Like, there can be the connection point of like, there's people that love yoga, and then they find you because of that, and then they start to love all your music, not just the one that fits with yoga. And then the other way is like, they love you, they find your music, and then they're like, ooh, maybe, she's doing this yoga stuff. Wow, I should check into that. And it's like we get expansive.
That's right. That's right. And the other piece, the word that I'm using now to talk a lot about my work, my music, is alchemy.
Mm,
So the idea of alchemy, if you know anything about alchemy, like literal physical alchemy, moving lead to gold. So my songs have always had this effect on people. People will tell me like, I don't know, Alicia, I find myself crying when I listen to your music, but I'm not sad. And I say, yes, it's moving energy because I have practiced energy healing for almost 20 years now. So my music, and many artists' music, but they may not be conscious of it, has intention. So to like move a fear, like a fear or a loss. I've done a lot of work around loss. I lost my mother 18 years this month. And that's 18 years ago this month. And that's what this project is, a culmination of how we heal from loss and transmute it into creativity and connection. And right now, I think a lot of people are moving through loss. It's just the
mm.
time we're in, change, loss, things are changing. And so this music I'm creating now really is service for
Mm.
anyone who feels like, whoa, I don't know what's happening. Or I was telling someone, I was on another podcast and I was saying, I want this music of this record to be for, I don't want anyone to feel alone. Like, I don't feel
Mm.
like anyone needs to feel alone right now. And so maybe somebody just, all they can do is listen to music. So I'm hoping these songs and these mantras can be like a spark of connection, right?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's one reason behind why I do the Music with a Conscience series, and I know you've been featured on that several times
Yes.
because again, like I want to inspire people. I want people to not feel alone. I want them to know that they're understood and, that they have a community, that they're not just the only ones dealing with certain things. And that's where music can really make that connection and that bridge between people.
And I love Bree, the way you've done it over the past 10 years, because I always come back. It's not like I've been fully engaged the whole time, but whenever I come back and tune in, I'm always aligned because I have watched you expand. And
Mm,
it's been wonderful also as a woman to watch you keep growing and expanding and empowering other women, artists, and people. You're not just working with women anymore, but that expanding and growing and that growth mindset, I have always felt that from you. And from
mm,
the beginning, I wasn't quite there as much in the growth mindset. And the academy really helped me like be like, wait, okay, I can still be learning how to do things. I don't just because I've already made records, like, and that can be vulnerable, especially as an adult, if you know you want to go in a new direction, but you have to learn new things. And I
mm.
feel like your academy and the things you do are such a safe space for someone who has something meaningful they want to share, and maybe they need to learn some new skills. And I've always appreciated that about you.
I appreciate that you're saying that. And I think even for me, like you said, I've expanded, but I'm almost contracting a little bit now to focus more on the people that I absolutely love helping and
Mm,
love, elevating in the industry, and that is female musicians, female
yeah.
singer-songwriters, especially those that have a message-driven focus and a real passion and purpose for their music doing something bigger in the world. And so, like you said, I've had different seasons where I've done summits and I've, done a release course and just expanded out. But now I feel like I'm coming back in and I feel like we're super aligned right now with what we're wanting to do. Because like you said earlier, like the way I say it is staying in your own lane, right? And I've
Yes.
definitely had my time periods where it's like I want to go in other people's lanes and I test those out. And then I kind of find like, I really need to stay in my own lane. I really need to do what I'm good at and not try to be anyone but myself. I feel like when I turned 50, like I had this short time period where I was like, I can do whatever I want now. Like I'm at this point where I feel super confident in myself, but then you kind of drift. So I've pulled myself back multiple times to this
Mm.
single lane. So I feel like maybe you can really understand that.
Yes, I understand so much about that. Turning 50, what that is like. I'm almost 54. And there is kind of like this energy that happens. And then also now I think I'm very similar where you are. I'm like really focused. I'm very loving and I'm very open, but I'm very focused. And I think that's also our time. I find the energies and there's a lot of chaos. And
Mm,
so my practice is to really, as you said, stay in your lane. To me, it's I meditate every day and I really ask myself every day, like, where am I focusing today? What is my goals? And I do think too, like I'm aware there is only so much time when we're a human being. And so I feel very inspired by the work I'm offering right now that I could only be offering now. I couldn't offer this 5 years ago because I hadn't lived it. So I'm sharing a wisdom and an energy and a frequency now that I'm like, whoa, I want to get this out there. And that's exciting. You talk about seasons. I've had seasons where there's been a whole year where I just taught music to kids and I thought I'll never be an artist again. And
mm,
I want to share that with anybody that's listening. I've had a long journey and I've had huge dips in my own mental health or sense of like who I am or whether I'm an artist. And then I am back here in this really creative place. And so I just say that no matter where you are in your journey, keep connecting to things that make you feel alive and make you want to create, and trust. If you're in a dip, trust. Everything always changes. And that's been a lot of my journey as well.
I think that's a really good message. I always talk about how I tried to quit music because I thought I was out of that season, and it lasted about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Because you can't, like, if it's deep within you, you can push it down, but it's only going to be for so long. And so I love what you said. Like, you can let it simmer for a while, but it will bubble back up to the surface because it's part of you and it's part of your mission. And it is funny. Like, I've seen you like disappear for a while and then
Oh
pop up
yeah.
again. And I think that's really inspiring to like a lot of the women that follow me that are like, in their like second act with music. They were a corporate person for all these years, or they were a mom and now they're an empty nester, or they just feel like they finally need to like follow that music path because it's been since their early 20s and they've just kind of put it on hold.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a huge believer in the importance of creative expression, and encouraging any being, no matter what age, to express creatively and to share that in whatever the way they want. I think the world needs it more than ever. I think we need to be doing it more than ever.
Yes, absolutely. And it sounds like your project is really going to inspire people in that way. So how can people get involved in your Kickstarter right now?
So we're about 10 days in. We're already 30% funded, which is huge because the statistic Kickstarters is that if you hit 30%, those campaigns tend to make it. So I'm really excited about that. There's a link. I don't know if we can put the link in whatever we end up sharing, but there's a
Absolutely, in the
Kickstarter.
show notes.
Yep, great. And there's a Kickstarter link that'll be in the show notes. You can also go to my website, aliciamathewson.com. Here's the good news is you can enter this campaign at $21. And for $21, you get 9 songs and 9 mantras digitally sent to you before the official release.
Mm.
So that's super exciting. If you're into vinyl, I'm doing vinyl for the first time. I'm super excited. I'm learning. So I'm finally putting a record on vinyl, which just feels really fun. So you could do vinyl. You can also do the book digitally. So for $33, you get everything digitally.
Mm.
Because some people don't want the stuff, and I get it. And
Yep.
then you can get a signed hard copy of the book. So the book and the vinyl, you could get the book and the vinyl together for 99. And there's other rewards like a healing session with me. I have a really sweet $77 reward that I call Grandmother Love,
Mm.
because I practice self-compassion every day, and I've become a very strong practitioner of self-compassion. So it's a one-on-one session with me on Zoom on how to practice mindfulness and self-compassion, which
Mm.
as an artist, I'm telling you, it has changed the game for me to practice self-compassion every day.
Yeah, it's not easy being an artist, right? We need.
No, but it's so fun. I mean, like I'm in a season now where I wouldn't want to be anything else. But
Mm.
I have had many seasons where I was like, could I please be a banker? Like, why is this my job?
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I remember I going through a season where I was like, it would be so easy just to like work as a checkout person in a grocery store because like you know exactly what you need to
Oh,
do
I've
every
done
day.
that.
Yeah.
I did that. I worked at Whole Foods for like 2 years.
Oh.
It's awesome. I got a 20% discount. It was great.
But it seems like it would make life
Yeah,
so easy, you know what I mean? But then I
it
kind of
does.
realized that after a while it would be so boring that I would tear my hair out.
And that's exactly what happened to me. Yeah. Yeah, I've had that experience.
That's Well, you guys definitely go and check out her Kickstarter. As she said, like she's done several successful ones, so I have no doubt that this one will also be successful. So you're going to want to get on board and help support her for sure. And then just to close out, Alicia, I'd love to have you just say a little bit about the Academy Women of Substance, like anything that you want to say that was helpful to your career in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, Bree, my experience of you is you were like ahead of the game. I remember when I first joined it, I was working with somebody on Cape Cod, and I said, "Oh, I just saw this thing, the Female Musician Academy." And I was just starting my Kickstarter. She's like, "You should join that. That would be so great. You'll learn skills, you'll networking." And I did, and it was so meaningful to have my music on certain kinds of podcasts. Like I've been on the Mother's Day one a couple
Hmm.
times because I've written a lot of songs about my journey with my mom. And I've been on the Women of Conscious, is that what it is? Conscious?
Music with a conscious. Yeah.
Music with a Conscious is my favorite. I think I'm on it all the time because I have
Yes.
so many songs that are that. But
Yes.
I love listening to the other artists. I love feeling a part of a community. And it's just the coolest. And then I love getting, even if I'm not engaging in everything, just your emails, the Sunday spotlights, like I feel you. I feel
Mm.
your intention. I feel your integrity. And you've exposed me to a lot of things like that I haven't even taken full advantage of, like that I didn't know about, like the taxi. I don't know. I don't even know all these things, but I'm always like, oh, maybe I'll do that someday and I'll ask Bree how to do it. Like, I just feel like you're this beacon of like, oh, if I ever have a question about a part of the music industry, I would probably go to you first. And that's like an amazing feeling to know you have a relationship with somebody that you feel like is in integrity, is really
Mm.
connected to a lot of things, but also has centered women and centered music with substance, you know?
Mm. Yep. Well, that's my goal. So I'm glad that's coming across. And I just appreciate being able to work with you all these years and look forward to us working together in the future and hopefully eventually meeting since you're on the East Coast and I go to Maine like every year. So hopefully we'll make it happen. I know when we got a bunch of Academy members together in New York, it was super fun to actually meet people in person. I've met some of them at Taxi and ASCAP and places like that. So I look forward to that happening in the future. There's been so much like synergy between the artists and the academy, which has been cool, and supporting each other in things like Kickstarters and voting and things that you enter in. And so it's great to have that
Yes.
community to just get behind you,
Yes, I agree. I agree. I would love to be with people in person.
Awesome. Well, okay, you guys, check out her Kickstarter in the show notes, or you can look her up on Kickstarter. Go to her website, aliciamathewson.com. Thanks so much, Alicia, for coming on to the podcast. And we really can't wait to hear about your successful Kickstarter.
Thanks, Bree.